Okay, the boys say we're up to Simon Tess. We started but didn't have the print, so let's just go back a little bit. Simon Tess. Chava says Ma'oid Tzurich le'izur Shalika shoichat. Very careful. It's very interesting. The solution at Rambam, since you guys learn, some of you learn Rambam. The Rambam says 3 times me'oid. Rambam says ribis me'oid, and the Rambam says by arroyes. Me'oid, you gotta make sure you stay away from erve, someone else's wife. You don't flirt, because there are 3 things the Yetzer Hara really. Ribis is a great Yetzer Hara, and shoichat also. What? Treif don't have such a Yetzer Hara. You don't have such a Yetzer Hara. There's no Issa Yichud in treif. You're allowed to be in a room with treif. You can't be around a room with another lady alone. So it is not so tempting treif. The Rambam uses 3 times is ribis, shoichat, and gilarois. And money is extremely tempting. And so maybe me'oid tzurich lizuel shalikach shoichet, not to take shoichet. Lazak is a zakah. I'm taking money. I'm taking your money, but if you're wrong, you're going to be wrong. See, shoichet is not to bribe the judge. That's another level, sata mishpat. Shoichet means I want to give you $100, and I want you to pass in the right way. That's enough. That's just enough. That's enough. You notice the Lusha Mechabe Kishetveni Hanoisen. So on these words, so the Rambam says, you gave shoichet. If the guy asks, if he loses the Torah, he says, now can I have back the $100? I lost. And you have to give it back. So there is a famous Taz and Chosh Mishpat here, which all the Chaim talk about. How about ribis? You're not allowed to give ribis. And ribis has to be given back. Does ribis have to be given back only if the guy asks from it, or if he does not ask from it? What is the nafkamina?
Well, we learned that, no?
When we spoke about ribis, we learned that, yes.
Ribis, it's on both parties, the one that gives it and the one that takes it.
Okay, now he gave ribis. Now the question is, they have to give it back. Does he have to give it back without asking, or it's only if I ask it back? If I don't, you don't have to give it back. What is the nafkamina? The Taz brings down the story, and they bring a few stories, one after another, happened in the early generations. There was Ruvain gave Shimon ribis. He was over ribis. So Shimon owes him, let's say, $1,000 ribis that he gave him. Okay, he owes the money. Ruvain owes this Binyamin money. So Binyamin says to him, this guy owes you gave him $1,000 ribis. Shebida the Rebnosim, I'm calling him to the Torah to give me the $1,000. You follow what I meant? That means I gave him ribis, so he has to give me, and I owe him. So Shebida the Rebnosim says, you have a right to go to him to get the money because he owes me and I owe you. So the question is, but if I don't ask the money, is there such a Taz held, just like by shoichat, the Rambam says only if you ask for it. He was Madaik and Arash ribis too. The Taz over here, and the Chaynim disagree. Some say this way, some it's an old machlikas. Is the echiv even if you don't ask for it? The ribis is the echiv to give back.
How do we pass them?
There's no. Doesn't say clearly. Doesn't say. Okay, zoek de Mechaber weiter. Ik shem shalakech oy b'lo yisase ken nos no oy b'fnei ivol yiset mechshel. You're not allowed to do that, he says. Well, shoichet mo mevad ele for shoichet dvurim. It's very nice all of a sudden. He's so nice and wonderful. You know what I mean? Is good morning. He never greets him good morning, or all these things. Chen dayin sheshuel sheila, or he's a neighborhood who everyone asks for favors. He has electric saw. He gives a car to you. you have a lot of favors from him, then you can be a dayan is the case. You have him, you use him, or if balabos davening your shul. I'm very annoyed. I don't want to say the name of the bezdin, but I heard that you can't sit in that bezdin if someone is in your shul because you want your shul to be full, and you don't want him to leave, and maybe he pays membership. So there's an alternative motive. So
But if it's a bezdin kavua, then what?
doesn't bezdin? Yeah, we don't. If a bezdin kavua, then everyone accepted that's how it's going to be. Like bezdin kavua.
Even one of the Dayanim is a Rav in a shul also?
Yeah, it doesn't make it. Yeah, but the bezdin kavua those days got paid by the city. He didn't need a cham for anyone. See, that's what what was. Zman, what's the name? There was a bezdin kavua meant that the city supported the bezdin. I imagine the bezdin Crown Heights gets supported by the city, by the community. So he doesn't have to cham for anyone, doesn't need anyone, doesn't take money from anyone. But if he's a guy, there are rabbis who get paid by the community, and they like to, they take money from a lot of people. That's a big machlekes in the Pesachim. Let's say the guy gave me a nice check for Shlachmonis. Or for Pesach, he gives him a check. Can he? Many held no, Many say it's nothing to do with it in Torah. That's up to the dying then. We're going to soon see the Mechaber says. He has nothing to give back. He borrows from me, I borrow for him. Only if it's normally he takes things from him. Then it's okay. The kitzur, it's a.
What does it mean borrow from each other?
I need a car, I need an electric saw, you need a screwdriver, you need a. If he works the two ways, then Mechates he doesn't have from him. He gives me and I give him. Understand? But if it's a one-way street, so then that's like a sheichet because then.
When the Rabbi gets a check, it's a win-win. First he gets one, and then he has a win not to be a dime. I can't. That's the best thing.
Does this reciprocal in that situation, the Dayan might be more familiar with the person's honesty, his character. He has a perspective.
Let me tell you something. When you sit in the Torah, you really find out who's who. How you could have a long white beard and you think the guy would never lie and you catch him lying through his teeth. And you could have a simple guy, sounds so, didn't sound so and he's so honest. Till you put someone, you know this in court, till you don't put someone up against the wall, you don't know who they are.
What I'm saying is we have a concept we call character evidence.
That's, in a Torah, it has no value.
But I understand, but does that value in the Dayan?
No, does not, because we have, any dying knows that you don't know, Einu the Niker, when you get them, the Kisai, the Kasai, the Kaisai. Kaisai, maybe you Chabad a little bit more familiar, Kaisai. But, Kasai, and that's how you really know a person. It's very hard to know if a person is honest. It's extremely difficult.
Bikiso, Picasso, and?
The Kaisai. Drinking, then the secrets come out. And the Kas, when he gets angry, you really know who he is. And monetary things, that you really see, how much of a Drake-up he is. And
If the Dayan knows, like, let's say, sometimes you've been trying, one of the guy downs in your show, another person, somebody never met from Beverly Hills.
I never take such a dinner.
Well, let's say you would, like, you don't have any famous men.
Doesn't make it, I wouldn't take.
No, okay.
Why wouldn't I
Let's
take?
say I was going to the interview, you know me, I don't have any show. No, I did tonight actually. And I wrote the first song from that man.
Gang is about paying membership.
Oh, yeah, I'm out.
Okay.
But see, is that even a shaycha there, the fact that you have a familiarity? with
Well,
the
no.
party?
Familiarity is not no.
It's not.
I tell you, I had to sit in Torah, and no one wanted to sit, and they begged me. Rabbi Shochet, one was a Lubavitcher who comes to the shoe like you next door, and one davens says, well, I didn't want to do it because I love to do it in Torah. No one knows me. I don't know both of you. I don't know you. And I told them I don't want to be there. They all wanted Asher, and I was magdem. I want to tell you both. One of the two of you is going to hate me. Before we started in Torah, I said I don't want to do it. because one of you is gonna be very disappointed. And what did you say? The guy who lost, the beginning was very, very hurt, but today he's good friends. You know. I told him I never saw a guy lose it in Torah. He says, you know what? I owe the money. I'm paying it, but that doesn't happen. Maybe in the books. No, what? No, it happened to be the non-Babich who lost. Yeah, but I'm saying no one. That's the unfortunate part. No one. How do you say? No one loses gracefully. You say in English. What do you say? And everyone thinks that way. So I don't. But they said no. Sure. Made it into. Okay. But in Halacha, answering your question, Yankee, I want to answer your question. What you just asked. That the answer to your question, that Halacha, just because I know you. Honestly, we're good friends, but, it's not that I get money from you and I'm afraid to paskin against you. I would sit halachically, I could sit in such a din Torah. Because I'm not afraid, I wouldn't be afraid to say I have no monetary things from you. There's nothing like... No, I don't... That should the Chaber says that the Dayan has to judge himself. I know that wouldn't. So when I was younger, could be. When I was younger, it was very young. Didn't want. When you're young, you feel like you're offending. But
about the Gabbai initial.
Same thing. If you have, right? If there's a close relationship, you can be. But I tell people, I said this last week, I tell people, today you pay a lot of money to go to the Torah. Make sure if you lose, you're going to be comfortable losing. I tell you this, I just told this a guy this week. He's going to the Torah. I told him, don't go there. Because if you're going to lose,
He has a choice?
yeah, you go to New York. If you're going to lose, I know this fella, the way he talks, he is going to be devastated. And then he's going to go, they don't know the halacha, you're paying so much money, at least you should think about it. If I lose, I know I did my best to lose. Paying for it. But you see, the problem is people go to the Torah, I don't know what it is, very few are always convinced they're going to 100% win. I don't know why. People, lawyers defend, don't think all the time. No defense lawyers don't think?
No. Most of the time they know what's going to happen.
They know what's going to happen, defend. They just act that way. But no state, they might lose anyways, and they just have to put up an act in it.
No, or they can fool the jury. It's not about...
They know the truth, and question how they could fool the jury. Oh, that's a different story.
Very, very rare that someone comes up in my career that someone came up to me and said, my guy's really innocent. It happens once a year. But they say that with Dom, like they really mean it.
Okay, zog de Mechaber. Im Kudem HaTaveya v'shulach mincha l'dayin. Koidem shiyazmen l'nit v'ledin. He sent him a nice gift before he was to the Torah. And a nit v'yuchal aposloi. Elikim adayin roitza lachshich atzmo isedin memidas chasidus. Kegon shedeshin is karav daitavus. That means if you send him a gift, the dayin is up to, how you say in English, it's up to his own discretion. It's up to him. If he feels that this guy sends him a gift, or this guy sends him shlachmanis, or this guy gives him a nice check by Yom Tov, can I be honest and not to be neuter? That's up to the dayan. See, the question, I want to emphasize this because I had this argument once with the Rav. The Mechaber is only talking about can the dayan sit in the Torah. I always tell people, you should lose in a good way. See, they talked about there was a Bezdin Kvu in the city, didn't have a big choice, that the dayan has to recluse himself, say, I can't. But I always tell that's very good, the Shulchan Aruch. Why I tell people, be comfortable if you lose. Okay, so the Mechaber.
It doesn't matter why he sent it?
Yeah, he sent it. Even if he sent the gift, I'll shoichet. Even though he sent the gift, he doesn't say it. He sent him a nice gift.
Just stop.
Stop.
We understand.
Yes. Or, but he never gets shlachmanas. Only this year. How come this year you got shlachmanas? No. So the Hagi the Bezdin Kippur, that's the meaning in Klali. So she poskim him in the Panus's Bezdin. The meaning was to set up can I say a casa in English? Bank account. See, some held that it's also shoichet because we're paying for the diyum. No, ki choyve al Yisrael, it's obligation al Yisrael, lefarnes du yinehem, v'chachmehem, to make sure Torah does not get forgotten. Good pitch for the rabbi. You make sure that, it's true. You should know that many, many historians claim why the Ashkenazim was so much sliach in Yiddishkeit was because they always supported the rabbis. Even the poverty in Russia was unbearable poverty, but the Rav got paid. By the Svardim, the only way you could be a Rav is to be very wealthy. So it's very, very hard. Torah was quickly forgotten.
What does it cost to bring a din to a? If I have a problem with somebody, I have to have a summons that costs money. Does somebody serve him? Is there
And right, you go to a bezdin and it costs money and you're sitting in a bezdin, but you can get 3 people. I just did it. Guy is a newlywed, he has no money. Oh no, I could say no one's gonna know. And his wife walked out of him. They had a baby, I think they just had a baby. It's many claim. Some claim it's postpartum. It doesn't make a difference. She left and she went to court. She says, I have no money. And she went to court. I want to go to court to the Torah. So I said to him, you get any 3 people to send us money to her. That's it. So later, you're not going to give a get till she pays you all the money it costed you for the going to court. We're going to speak about it later. We'll see about this halacha. Follow? You have to be moicha. You heard this is an important case. A lady left her husband. Doesn't make a difference why. Yeah, had a right, didn't have a right. So she went to court. That's what they do. They run to court. So I said to the husband came to me, I said, what you should do is send hazmana. He says, I don't have money. I'm going to send 3 hazmanas, then it costs 100. He says, I could sign for you hazmana, print out, sitting in a koil, get another 2 people to sign it, and give it to her and say, I want to go to the Torah, now I go to court, I'm mazman you to the Torah. You have to want. So then, she's going to come to a get, she's going to scream she wants a get. You have a right to say, you have to pay me all the money that cost me in the court. Goyish court? Cost you to hire a lawyer. And the truth is, there was a case many years ago where the lady went, and I remember she called me up and refused to give me a get till pay $75,000 or $80,000 the legal fees. She was screaming, and even what's her name, the Guna organization, the OU, I forgot what it's called, said to her, you went to court without permission. And the guy clearly said to you, I want to go to the Torah. There's nothing we could do. And she cried to me, there's nothing I could do. Why did you do it?
That's only if the husband sends her an husband. And if
Yeah.
he did not send her
Then he could still play games. But then, Kila Alma Moida, she owes him the money. We'll later learn, if she didn't and he went along, we say, this Soif in the Tshuva says, if you go along with the court, then we say you were moichel the money. Why didn't you stop? But if you said, I don't want to go, and like this young man, so, I'm telling you, I know what's going to happen. It's going to come to the get. I know how these things work. Come to the get, and he's going to ask for the money. She's going to scream with her father and Aguna. They learn quickly the mistake later, unfortunately.
So if I could say, I took you to court, and we agreed to go with it, and my case is frivolous, and it costs you a lot of money to defend yourself, you win, you get to get court costs, and in the negotiation court, there's court costs. Maybe the losing side.
In Bezdin, no.
So essentially, I can essentially bankrupt you.
No, you can't. See, this is not, the Baruch Hashem, the Butadinim are not like the court system. I could sue you if you looked at me the wrong way, and you nodded at me, and you didn't greet me the right way. I don't know, today is a crazy world. In Bezdin, you have to say why, we're going to see this later, you have to say to Bezdin, why am I calling the Torah? You just can't.
In advance.
in advance. Your Bezdin has to know why you're calling him. What is your taina? I had someone come to me. He wants to sue someone for stress. That's just last week. Stress. I said, what was the stress? I worked very hard and he stressed me out and I had to quit. I said, well, there's no such thing in the Torah. But he tells me
Now, that guy goes and sues in court for stress.
he's a Ganav.
He's a gun.
And according to somebody showing him, he's a Meiser. He's a Ganav and a Meiser. Somebody's showing him.
And if he went to Bezdin,
That's the
and
such a
he got a
thing.
settlement in Bezdin,
There's no
afterwards
settlement.
went to a court.
Yeah, for sure he's a Meiser. But there's no such thing as stress in the Torah. You quit your job. We live in a crazy world. I work for a guy, and I typed for 10 years, and I developed carpal tunnel, and I have a right to sue them. That's what someone told me. Is that true?
Yes.
That's what someone told me. He's suing his boss for carpal tunnel.
The insurance.
Yeah, workers' comp, but he pays for it. He pays like a tata. You know what I mean? This is amid the Saddam. We live in, I know America's a great country, but it has a notch of many of Saddam things. But as answering your question, you can't call a guy to the inter just like that. You have to find out what your fee is. You owe the money. You know what he was mazing you.
Assuming I do, assuming the court says it's a righteous case.
I'm saying the business says.
Business.
Yeah, then you have a right.
And fine, but there's no court costs like immigration court.
No.
Like you bring it
But
court,
it's
you're
significantly
moving
cheaper too.
Oh, it's much cheaper.
You don't
But
have motions.
today it's much cheaper. And if you go not with Zavlo, I say the story over here. Let me tell you a story. The two partners in my community who had a din Torah with someone, and one did not want to go to Zavlo, and there were two partners invested with the guy and a whole story. So one went to New York. It took, I think, the whole din Torah cost them $4,000. The whole thing, din Torah, and he won. And he won. The other one is 2.5, 3 years, still in Zavlo, and at the last time he told me it costed him $28,000 already. Because each dayan and each toyan, each time it's another sitting, it's money, it's parnasa for him. See, if we go to what's his name, we go to to Bezdin Kvur, Bezdin go to Mechayneru, go to any, they do 1, 2, 3, there's no, especially Mechayneru is great, because the Dayanim do not know if you pay, you don't pay, it has nothing to do with them. They have other, right? RCC, each Dayan knows he's going to get paid for the sitting. They sit every afternoon, so they get paid by the Koidel, so nothing, they don't care. They're not interested to drag anything. They're interested not to drag it. How do you say in English? Cut to the chase. Yeah. Cut to the chase. Let's get it over. Let's know what you're doing. Finish.
Your typical entire when you're standing, the litigants are before the court. How long does it take to hear this entire story to the judge?
If there's the last time I'm still sitting on this Torah, both brought lawyers. It went very smooth. Because the lawyers did not bring out all the emotions, and not that I did him a favor, and they focused how the contract was written. He interpreted the contract this way, he interpreted the contract this way, and they have a sichsach now. Finished. But if they don't bring a lawyer, it could drag, and
what does that mean? What's the average? Is it a day?
it depends. It depends how much. How do you say?
In our courts, when you argue a trial, they're 2 weeks long.
No, it's so long.
Nothing's 2 weeks long.
No, it's not nothing. No, unless it's a complicated case. I never had it 2 weeks long. Never. I mean, I know Chayru had very complicated business dealings. It took a long time to understand it even. But no, I never had that.
How here do they charge per hour?
Yeah, charge per hour.
Per dayan per hour.
Per dayan per hour. So, that's why it's not a Bezdin Kvua. If it's not a $10,000 case, a $20,000 case, what are you going to din Torah for? So a guy asked me a few weeks ago, he has a $6,000 case. So I told him, you call the guy up, I'll call the guy up, and he had another Rav call, are you willing to go to din Torah or not? If he says, I don't want to go to din Torah, you go small claims court.
But once he says, I don't want to go to the entire, you have to go to Bezdin to get permission?
Yes, you should go to Bezdin and get permission,
And
yes.
your excuse is because he says he doesn't want to.
Yeah, he had a tape, he taped him on the phone. He says, talk to him. He's not so religious, the guy told me. I don't know. But yeah, we don't have a Bezdin. It's our shortcoming. I wish we'd be a skonim over here, make a Bezdin for in the city. But that's not going to happen so quick.
You never know.
Yeah, never know.
Danny, what's the politics about this?
What do you say?
I want to know if Fishman knows the politics. Why we don't have business club?
You have to have soul money, you have to have a fund for it.
You need someone to be. You need
I have a
someone.
feeling some people from another president might say that we do have a.
You don't include them, So get one of them more specific. Use it just a money question.
No, but when you have a Bezdin go in the city, it has to be the same exact 3 Dayanim.
Well, not Dafka in motion, and Badatz, they people don't know who's going to sit. They have a, how do you say in English, a tour. How do you say tour in English? Rotation. And they don't know. You go to a Bezdin, you have no idea who's going to sit.
How many Dayanim do they
They have about 10, about
They should go over here.
to have a rotation, and I don't know how it works, how they get paid. I mean exactly, but they don't pay. But that's because I was told that.
When you have a Bezdin go, is it only for money matters, or is it for Jerusalem?
If you have a Bezdin Kuba city, it should be for everything.
For everything. So you can't have separate little Bezdins to handle the.
Yeah, you could do that too. You could set that up. But you shouldn't have a Bezdin when, I tell you, I had a story, and it was very hard till I got 3 to Bonham, a question of a mamzer. One of the local schools, principal called me that this lady's Masich Lefitimoi, and an Israeli lady, and the way she tells me the story, this child is a mamzer. So we needed Kabbalah say this. We had to speak to her. We had to speak to ex-husband. Till I got it together, it was Kriyas Yamsuf. And the end, when the father who was going to come testify, didn't want to come. The end, nothing. The child is a Sufik mamzer.
So what's the point of that?
What's the point if it would be a Bezdin Kuba city and will get paid? You would, put pressure, put a chaydim on the guy. The guy that lives in the valley or someplace, and the father who claims that it's not his kid. He was married to the lady, and the lady also admits, well, lady is not Naaman. The lady comes to say.
Just a psak today, somebody, one of their Rabbanim today came out and said that Rabbi Yasha gave him permission to take testimony from a woman in Gittin for marriage.
To know the case.
That's what they grow.
No.
Yeah. That's in Israel. The chief rabbi
Said that what? To take a testimony? Yeah, there is times when you could take testimony from a lady that says Shulchan Aruch. Yeah, I mean that's what Shulchan Aruch says that.
In Hilchos Gittin and Gerushin,
No, but that was the lady. If we get to HalachaSrs15, there's such a thing that a woman in a place where no men are there, only ladies are there, a lady is now to say as an ed. That's a halacha. I don't know what the situation was. What was the?
One of the article was a big about it. It says he made a big thing about it.
Oh yeah, it says in Shulchan Aruch. There's a din in Shulchan Aruch, Kunis and Geonim, that in a way it was the. Let me you ask this. I'll tell you. Since you said it's an article, the Geonim made a tikkun. What happened was women used to fight in the ladies' shul. Life was boring. There was no sports, so the woman also needed to fight. So they fight in the Weibish shul. They said, no, Adam. She ripped the skirt. She didn't rip the skirt. She spit at him. Didn't spit at her. And I hate them. It was interesting. And a shtetler. So the Goyim said that in a place where there's no men, a woman is her right to come to testify. And very often in Shalom Bayis, where the neighbors, only the ladies were home to know if he hit her, didn't hit her. There was no man. It says clearly that it's not a Yashua. It says in Shulchan Aruch that. I mean, it's not. There's nothing that says clearly.
I'm just getting back to your mamzer case. What's the Bezdin trying to sort out? Is this kid a mamzer? If the kid is, then what?
Cannot marry a mom.
Can get married Jewish girl? Sophie Manza cannot either, but she's not Naaman. The mother was Messiach Lefetimoy. Let me explain. I'm changing a little bit of the story. The mother said Messiach Lefetimoy. You know what? How do you say Messiach Lefetimoy?
Casually talking.
Casually tells enrolled the child in the school and tells him, he asked it. The both parents came and says, no, that's not my child. This is this is her child. And starts asking questions. She said, this is not for my husband. It's a husband before. She was 7, What? The husband before? He's an Israel. Did he give you a get? You know, the principle was just, no, he didn't want to give me a get, but I got married, and the rabbi told me I could get married. Which rabbi? No rabbi. You know. Turned out, the way she says the story, child is a mamzer. This child was born before her husband gave her a get.
Oh, so she got remarried before.
She got married before her first husband gave her a get. A lady comes to say, Beniza mamzer is not nema. Do you know that? A lady comes and says, my child is a mamzer, has no nemanas. What? You know the Rambam? A lady comes to say, my child, the only one who's Naaman is the father. It's a Gemara, it's a Mishnah, only them is father. So we got to get the father.
That's a little counterintuitive because the one person who
first husband.
The first husband, who claims that she is my wife and never gave a get. Now we have to establish he's the husband. So, you know, we need an aidist to say, yes, this is her husband, not that she bought someone from the street, and who knows what.
Wait a minute, if in a situation where a woman openly admits she cheated on her husband and had a child, she's not Naaman?
She's not Naaman.
She's the only person who can tell us that.
Doesn't make a difference, she's not Naaman.
Even a man is not
My
married.
question is a different question, which I have, and I asked a lot of Rabbanim. Nowadays you could check it. And if a lady comes to say Benizi Mamzer, so why don't we check it? We could check the DNA. If it's the father's name, I was told that it's a simple test. Simple test, and it's 99% accurate. It's one out. It's 1 out of 200 million. What is it?
Well, the numbers just depend, but
Yeah.
they can tell you DNA out of 1 out of. I had a case with 700 quintillion.
Wow.
That's a
That's
number that's
unbelievable.
unimaginable.
That's unimaginable. So then it's a simimivik. That was my kasha. And are you mechuyev to do it? I'm not mechuyev to do it.
If the kid's a mamzer, then being in the school is a problem?
No.
But wait a minute, but later on when he's
Can't get married to a Jewish girl.
So do there
On the Kagiotis.
Cannot.
No.
Because it's their mitzvah to look at this mishpacha shenitma.
But it's not nitma. She said,
You have to look. I'm saying that.
that's not called nitma. That's not
That
nitma.
means when Mashiach
Nitma means that no one knows. Like he just said, the lady cheated, no one knows, and the child is a child, and no one knows. That's called nitma. But here, she was, Mashiach said,
Why does the principal make a big deal?
he wants to know the child is a mamzer.
And then?
To know, tell the child you can't get married,
Put him in the corner of the class and say, this is the mamzer section.
So he's allowed to legally go after a shit.
No.
What was his question?
You couldn't compress on the
Oh, okay.
A mamzer could only marry a mamzeris or gioiris.
So this is a new M date, new mamzer date website.
Well, in HalachaSrs15, let me tell you a story. There was let me tell you. In HalachaSrs15, 30 years ago, there was a story like this. There was a true mamzer. The Kilal Mamaydi was a mamzer. I think that it was the story that the mother came back, said that her husband died in the war, one of those stories, and then turned out he came back. He's one of the people that came back, so the child was a mamzer. Kilal was a mamzer. So the question was, the child grew up, and the Gemara says a mamzer could have a way to mitar the children. The Gemara says, if Tarfon says that you should take someone and be not megayim as get, because if your mamzer married the giyotis, the child will be a mamzer. He's allowed to live with the giyotis, but the child will be a vaita mamzer. So the Gemara says like this: you could get married to a shivcha, and after you marry and have a child, and then send the shivcha free and the children free. That means get a lady who's a shivcha, who's willing to megayir herself to become your shivcha. Shivcha Kananis. A mamzer is allowed to marry Shivcha Kananis, and then you have 2 children. Then he sends the Shivcha Kananis free, and his 2 children free. So they went and asked the Minchas Yitzchak. So the Minchas Yitzchak said, it's true, but we Ashkenazim never did it. I don't know, we never did it. So he went to Rabbi Vadia Yosef, and he did it.
You do it every day.
Didn't no. He has old shit. Doesn't happen all the time. And I today there's internet. So a few years ago, I asked someone to look it up for me. He dated the Dutch girl who was at Berlin University. She was a shiksa. She came to London University. He dated her, and he convinced her. She became a shivcha Kananis.
how did they do that? She went to the mikveh.
She went to make Adas to become a Shivcha Kananis. And there's the whole thing how you do it. And then, and she had a boy and a girl, and the Rabbi Yosef made a star Cheres, sent her free, and the two children, and that's all. You only have two children.
And then he can live with her.
Yes, then he could make, she could become a Gioris, full Gioris.
And the kids also.
No, any
Oh,
other
the kids
kids.
are gay.
If you have now new kids, they are practicing birth control, because they have new kids now, they will be mamzerim. These two children were avodim, and he sent them free.
So they're Jews.
They're Jews.
Yeah, but more kids are
The next kids, if he sent them, made them free, married her, and the next kid, if they do have another child, that will be a
Not
mamzer.
to marry another ship.
You gotta get a new slave.
But the kids that he had with her when she was a shivcha, they're not Jewish,
they became Jewish.
No,
right?
Shivcha Kananis is Jewish. What do you mean it's not
they
Jewish?
convert. The old ship has to come and go to the mikveh. We just learned this. Every Kanani went to have a
So
svila.
why would those kids not be
That's the halacha. The halacha is if a mamzer lives with the shivcha, the child is a eved or
The
shivcha.
child goes after the lower one.
Goes to the mother. It's not a mamzer. It's a gemara. It's a gemara
It's a more
Masechtas.
problem.
And then when let free became Jewish.
Yeah, full Jewish.
Don't you need the Shemitah and Yovel to make that shift? You don't have.
No. That's get toishiv.
How about ever the shit, Kanani,
Sure, the had Eved Kanani was practiced in times of Bis Yosef. Bis Yosef, the Svardish land, the Arab countries, they had Arab country had very late, I don't know history, but the Arab country had slavery much later than American.
Until the 1980s.
sold his slaves to America.
I'm just saying, I don't know the history, I don't know the geography, but the Bis Yosef brings down clearly, and Mitzrayim, they had slaves where he lived, and when it came to Israel, the Arabs had slaves. What happened was the Arabs didn't let the Jews have slaves, but the Arabs have slaves. In other countries, the Jews have slaves. Okay, Ad Khan. Let's move on. Where are we up to over here?
Since then it hasn't happened.
I don't hear what?
Since that 30 years ago it hasn't
On
happened.
the internet. You never know what happens. It's happening every day.
Zog the Mechaber Dalet. Kol Dayan Shiyoshev and Magdal. So the Remus says, Yosef Ligmes Betchila Shona Shemich Alehem Kedei Shitzarch El Hachnif Ol Hachzik Tov L'Shim Udam. You hear by Isai. The Mus says the best thing to do, raise the money in the beginning of the year, that no one should need, the Dayanim should have the Parnasa, they don't need to machoinif anyone.
But
Very, very.
one never had that. He was speaking out of pain.
But the Ramah did have it.
That was during the year every month.
No. There were times in Russia, but you should know that in Poland and when the times were good, the Rabbanim were paid well. In Hungary, the Rabbans were paid well because Parnasa was much better. In Poland, there was terrible poverty in Russia, but in Hungary, the Rav had a normal. That's I grew up in the Wiener Rav. He was fearless of anyone. He got up in a drosha and in Aran gesucht a big oisha. He's overlaven the Torah because he doesn't pay his workers on time. The guy left shul. He couldn't care less. You know, he got his income from the shul. He had this Hungarian canoeist he had. No, but because they had this, because they got paid. I don't need you, so don't come to Dama Meshul. You know, you have this kifas. Unfortunately, other people who didn't get, didn't get paid after Chamfa this guy. Okay, so the Mechaber called down Shoshim Gadol Sar v'Sofrim, Gadol Sar for the Sofrim, and the Shamshimim Chalanoit Nacha B'Etza. He makes sure that the Sofrim means the one who writes the documents and all that gets money, puts his cousin, his first cousin, his son-in-law, and his brother-in-law, and the whole tachlis make sure that they should have a panasi. Mamish is noit nacha betza. Anoite schar luden kol dinev shadol betelem. You hear what he say? Dain takes money. It's a mishnah. It's worthless. It's all then. Elikim yudua shanoite schar. He does. He doesn't take money. Bim eina noitel eide schar betrusamiter. So, we spoke about this. The Mishnah says a dayan takes money for being a dayan because I'm sitting in Torah, it's worthless. But the reason why they take money, it's a big machler because no one would want to be a dayan. No one in the right mind would want to be a dayan. Even now the people sitting in Torah, they make money. RCC is a money-making thing. The Dayanim make money. And I say another answer, very simple answer, because very often in the Torahs we sit, we don't, the case, I even sat right now, and the lawyers explained it then. I could tell you the Din Torah, I don't want to say the story, but I could explain to you the Din Torah in 5 minutes. We sat for hours. This guy had to explain over and over what his opinion about the star was, and he had to explain this. I could tell it to you in 5 minutes, the two opinions. But you had to a long story, and the guy was not so, even though he was a lawyer, not so mesuder. Thinks you have to look for papers, and you have to put out a document. I don't know how court works that way. You have to put out a document, and you have to wait, and so a lot of wasted time. That's what I claim. Because
They're getting paid for their time, not
so
for
I'm getting paid for it's not to get the case could be in the sun if it's you have a really professional guys. This is the document. I claim this and I claim this, but it doesn't work that way. Everyone has to have a long story. Sure. So the Mechaber Shrik Shenoit Ereschab Telusikan Shesh the Melucha Yidil Asas B'Shu Shesh Leiluden Omer Baldin. He has a job. He's in the business. Telini Schab Pile Shaloi Semelucha Shesh Baltameni. V'Shikab Mishnei Mishuv. He has to take from both the same amount of money. Aber einen Iker kann Shein Lo Melucha Yidiyah. L'Shoy Misham is Daman Yischab Ekni Yischoy Sar B'Shul Zeh Mavak Yishchar Zusa. Maybe I'm going to make money. That's Zusa. But the Chronim say the minig was they all took money because both sides, and the reason they took money was impossible, no one would be a dime. Some learn, that the Trimis Sedation learns that there was once a person knows Choshim Ishbet, there was places where they forced them to be a dime. You had no choice, otherwise they put them to Chaydim. So I don't want to be a dime. So I'm doing it because you're forcing me somewhere. I take money. That's one of the answers that I want to say. Zug de Mechaber Vate Vov, ein le dain lo niach atal me bar, sheyesh telefon sheyisvit nat moi vite me derech hamas. This is so true. See, a din Torah, let me explain something. You have a guy sitting in the din Torah, how people want to sit in the din Torah, and they say such silly things, but you say it enough times, it mixes you up. The Welt says, I'll tell you a good word to explain this concept. Chazal say on Ishta She'oin Ben Peles, Chochmes Inche Monse Beisa. She saved his life. What did she tell him? The Ishta She'oin tells her, I want to ask you something. If Moshe Rabbeinu is the king, or Haran is the king, or Korach is the king, you don't get nothing. But if you're wrong, you're going to die. What difference does it make to you? Moshe is right or Korach is right? It's a Russian roulette. He says, you're very right. What should I do? He said, don't worry. He got him drunk, whole story. Is that such great wisdom? The Rabban is troubled. Why didn't the 250 people think this way? Rabban has a whole arichas to explain. So the Welt says when there's chaos, common sense is brilliant. And that tumult, because when in the Din Torah watches sometimes when a person calls and drays you a cup, somebody start believing the dray cup. That's what you shouldn't have a bar sitting there because he could confuse you. He says, it's a Gemara. This is something Gemara. Talmud the Yoshev from the Rabbi v'rois schis leuni. He sees a schisser uvarav roitze lechayvoi. He says that the reason why I shouldn't be chayev lelamadu l'schis m'shoyse goy b'shemad v'arsheket tirchak. He wants to be quiet, and then later he wants to turn it over. You know what I mean? He'll get the credit. He's sitting there watching the Torah. He wants to get, let the Banim Paskin, and then I'm going to pull out my thing, and you have to say immediately, l'chayda, this thing should apply, this should apply. You're not allowed to. The Gemara calls it var sheikh yitircha. And that doesn't make a difference. It gives a marshal on it. It doesn't make a difference. Okay. Talmud. Did I skim it? Talmud Yushvan Avaroi Shetoy Bedin. Al Yom Hashtag Achig Meradin Vesteren Mechzevin Kadeshik Al Shmir. El Yom Derech Kuva Derebri Kach Kach Namadutuni. Both cases. One is a Talmud, and one is he sees a schus. If you're there, and the Rabbanut allows it. Rabbanut and HalachaSrs allows people learning the Dayanim to be sitting there, but not allowed to say a word.
Because of this?
No, because it's it's disrespectful. I was in the Rabbanut and watched it 28 years ago already, and there was a divorce case, and the guy was a big chutzpanak. They gave him a kanas, sanctioned 600 shkolim. Do you know what that means? 28 years ago? That was a lot of money.
The Dayanim gave to a litigant?
The husband was screaming. They told him, stop screaming. Sanction. He didn't listen. So a guy tells me that if he doesn't come with the zettel he paid next time, he goes to prison.
And they can do that?
Well, that's government. It's a government job. That's why the Rabbanut has more koyach. The Fruma don't want to admit to it, but Rabbanut has more koyach. There's law and order. There's order in the court. And by the Frum people, there's no order in the court.
We do that.
You get sanctioned, the screen.
I saw a judge lock a lawyer up.
Mamish put him to jail.
Put him in jail for that.
Wow. But he doesn't give money, knas money.
No, they can. But
It's up to him.
He was very disrespectful. The judge kept telling him not to be disrespectful. Kept being disrespectful. And kept him. Finally said, okay, you're done.
It was arrested on the spot.
The bailiff handcuffed him.
Wow. I wish I could do it to some people when they. I had a guy toying, he was very disrespectful. The only way he stopped quiet, he says, I close the safe for good night, I'm going home. No dintayra. I saw he made it, that's the only way that he listened, he calmed down. But the HalachaSrs that Rabbanut give us a knesset. Okay. Zug the Mechaber, this is a very, very important Mechaber. Simon Yid. Tzurech Hadayin Yis Musam Bedin. Has to be very Mosan. Mosan means, how do you say Mosan in English? Patient. No, not just patient. Chew it. Think about it. Not haste. To think about the case. Musam Bedin Shlo Yifsekenu Ad Sheyachmitzenu. Mechmitzenu means like let it ferment. Ferment. Beyisav Yitin Boy Shir Bureloi Kashemesh. It should be clear like the sun. The gas libe ba'ruah. The koifetz I poisik adin konish shkeren heite beine lebein atzmoi at shibur loy kashemes ari shoite rusha begas ariach. This is a very frightening thing. Because if a dying's, paskins 1, 2, 3, he doesn't ask, he doesn't sit and doesn't chew on it. It's a rusha gas. And a coachkin, we're going to see later, it's very, very frightening. There are many people, unfortunately, don't know Choshen Mishpat, and they say opinions about the Choshen Mishpat. Yeah, he says, more than once people came over me, the Rav said this way, so I said, does he know Choshen Mishpat? I want to say, last week someone came to me.
Does this only apply in the base there?
It applies even for the dying. Even though he has a right to paskin and he has a right to make shudders, but you have to think it over. See, the Torah is very thin lines always. How to look at it, how to understand it, what really happened. It's very hard to figure out what really happened. The best we all think, all three of the guys really took advantage of the guy. You know what I mean? He tried to be very ambiguous and to try to take advantage of the guy. That's probably what happened. But it's very hard to know what exactly and.
Well, what's the length of time?
Well, when you feel comfortable, you feel yes, it makes sense.
Do Dayanim issue a written?
They don't have to write. They don't write the reasons.
Home overnight and think about
Oh
it?
yeah, I'm thinking about it a week at least before I go.
You never issue.
I never.
Directly to them.
When people come to me, they have a sikh. I say, you have an argument. Yes, you have a case. You don't have a case. How could I tell a person is chayiv and not chayiv? I've only heard your side of the story. Then I heard the other side of the story. But I say, yes, if it's the way you're saying, you have a case. Let's hear what the other guy says.
I just want to know the practical. So you go home, there's a dying, you go home, you think about it for a week, and then you write out.
Then we come together. If the three of us get together, we write the psak.
Write out.
Yeah.
In front of the living case.
No.
Oh, you're saying the three Dayanim.
You sit down,
You have
and
to write a psak, you have to write.
you don't have to, but it's very good. We always write.
You'd rather not say it.
Because even writing is has to be written. The Shiurim says it's best to be written clearly. Yes, it's always more important, extremely important to have a written will.
Do you write, when you write the psak, do you write the reasons behind it? Do you
No,
write-
no, we don't write, but you have a right, before you come to Bezdin, I want you to write Heichanan Tuni. But once you didn't ask at the beginning, we don't have to say.
Is there an ability to appeal a psak?
No. And that's so they changed it. They have a right to appeal the psak, and that's so they do that.
Then you have to write down the reasons.
And you have to write the reason. That's so do have such a thing.
Right.
The Fruma Rabban, the Fruma Batidin.
It used to be only Rabbi. Now someone told me that from about the din also have a new thing.
So
That's
here-
such a yeah.
Here in RCC,
You really know why it's better? Because I was told that even a judge, it's a medrash this week's parsha, last week's parsha, that even a judge is afraid that it's going to be appealed and he's going to be so. You know that you didn't pass well. It's on the record.
Your reasoning is on the record, your knowledge is
Everything is on the record, which is it makes a pressure on the guy.
so here in RCC, when they give us psak, they don't put the reasoning at all.
Unless before you go to the Torah, it says, I'm going to the Torah with the condition, you write the reasons why you're passing. They have to write down, this is what you argued, this is what we argued, and we decided to make this and this pshara. Based on something you have to write. You have right to ask them for that.
The site where they got it.
Right. So it makes them also more...
So people do that now?
people don't ask me, so they don't do it. But...
But it would make sense to me that the loser would come and say, why did I lose?
Right.
Every time.
Right.
Right?
well,
explain it to them.
yeah, well,
Explain.
you can't explain to a loser. They lost, so I tell them, why don't you have your Rav call me? And I explain it to them. You can't. A loser, when a guy lost, I told you, I had the two people I know well. The guy lost in the Torah. You couldn't believe it. I says, who is your Rosh Hashiva?
That's what to call me all the time.
Let him call me. And I explained to him what the problem was. Okay.
You previously told us that a Dayanim, if passing is wrong, is liable.
For Pakadai, Paskin wrong is liable.
But it's different, different levels.
Yes.
Sorry, Mishnah, one second.
Yeah. So our Mishnah we're going to see later, but I want to tell you something else. More is when a Rav Paskins, and no, a Rav says you don't have to pay. You do have, a Rav told the guy you don't have to pay. I have no idea why. And when it came to the Torah, he said, but the guy called him to the Torah anyways. And it's true, the Rav wrote an email, you don't have to pay. I have no idea why he wrote that. Guy doesn't know Rosh Mishpat. He wrote, I had it in Torah, and the guy thought that since a rabbi told him he doesn't have to pay, very silly, but it doesn't make a difference. But I have an email, a Rav write him, you told me the story, you don't have to pay.
And now it's true.
So if
It happens that he does have to pay. I have no idea what he meant. So he happened to go to the Torah, but what happens? I told you, I have a guy where Rav got angry. He got involved in a divorce case, and he's a young rabbi with them ungereizt. He says, instigating him. And what happened was, the rabbi told the lady, go to court. He's a gangster, go to court. So she went to court, and he told her, come to Bezdin. She refused. So the guy called him up, Erev Yom Kippur, 10 minutes before, and he told me, I had to pay so much money to go to court because you told to go to court. I'm not moichel you. So the guy laughed. Then when the Mechoin Yeruah was there, he asked one of the Rabbanim, he says, you pass wrong, you have to pay.
You have to pay for it.
$30,000.
Wow.
Whatever it costs.
So wait a minute. So if a guy goes to the Reuben Shimon go to Bezdin and Bezdin rules wrong, they rule whatever, and then they come to somebody who knows what they're doing. And he says, hey, and they say, no, that's not right. Can he bring the Bezdin to Bezdin?
Well, then if you're passing wrong, yes, they pass wrong. You have to the Bezdin has to retract, and then if they can't, in certain cases they have to pay. Yes.
What I'm saying is, can I bring them to Bezdin because they're tiyut?
Yeah, if they can't get back the
What I'm
money,
saying is that's the appeal.
right? We don't have, unfortunately. No one's going to take it.
Even if they don't
I tell you why we don't, because they write into the Shtura Berita that even if you make a mistake, that's why they write in. But the Rosh, there's a famous Chuvas Rosh. The Rosh was asked a question, and the Bezdin passing in one way. See, before I learned Chosh Mishpat Rishonim, I thought that, only today's Amratzim, times of the Rosh, that there was a big din Torah about a Shchenim. And the Rosh writes that the Bezdin, you guys made a mistake, you told the Var Mishnah, you have to go back and tell the guy, and now that it costed him money to build the wall, whatever, you have to pay him for the cost. You are told the Var Mishnah, the Bezdin has to pay.
We have to learn about this later. The Shikaladas.
Yeah, we'll see this later, but there's such a thing. The Rosh writes to the Bezdin because the Lomdei Torah in the town was shocked of the Psak Bezdin, so they wrote to the Rosh, and the Rosh said, and the Bezdin, thought, we're right, and the Rosh says, you're Torah Dvar Mishnah.
So like Benny's saying, you could take the RCC to base.
No, because RCC,
You write to a big Rav somewhere.
see, the RCC writes that we start even if we make a mistake.
With what?
You sign even though we make a mistake.
You agree to the arbitration.
The arbitration.
Is that permissible or
Sure.
The Moshe Feinstein held that since no one wants to sit in the Torah only with this, so if you don't want this, it's like you don't want to go to Bezdin. Since no one wants to sit in Bezdin, no one is interested in paying.
In legalese, they call that a coercive agreement.
What does that mean?
Because you can't get a Bezdin unless you sign it. So you're
Right.
forced to sign it.
Right, right. Because no one wants to. Look, I wouldn't be interested in sitting in the Torah. This Torah is $700,000. Maybe there's something I don't know. Maybe a bigger bookie was going to say we paskening wrong.
$700,000.
$700,000. I wouldn't sit in the Torah. Forget it.
Are you saying they're signing it because otherwise they wouldn't sit?
It wouldn't be Dayanim.
No one today in the right mind would be because most of the Yonam don't know Chosh Mishpat. To know Chosh Mishpat, you learn 10 years to spend on it to know it well. Most of them don't know. They know a little bit here, a little bit there. It's very hard. And also Chosh Mishpat is very intricate. You have to know how to compare. It's a whole different world. So no one wants to be. Okay, I'm going to have to stop over here.